Barbara, you've played some historical characters. What made Gala different?
What made it different? It didn't make it so much difference. I mean, the process is kind of similar. You have these people that are known today because they did something special. The one difference between of her and the other characters I played, she didn't do something special that is like her own. She made something out of Dali. So so there's no books and no paintings and no things of Gala, but she was implemented in making Dali, and I think Dali would not have been Dali without her.
That's what we've learned. That's what I learned.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know that either.
What are some of the traits that you admired while getting to learn about her, and some traits that maybe not so fun?
Well, I can only repeat what I read about her and what I've researched about her. So most of the things that I read about her were quite negative, because there were a lot of artists who didn't like that she pulled Dali out of, their world. And so she was eccentric, and she was for a time sexually liberated. She was living in a menage a trois. She didn't respect marriage of other people. Whatever she liked, even when she was very old, in her 80s, she just took. That can be negative, but that's also something that I in some way admire, that she really knew what she wanted to do, and she put all her energy into that endeavor. And without doubt, I don't think she ever doubted herself. She recognized this great talent, and she put herself in the service of that. So I think one must not forget that she also sacrificed a lot, because she was a woman who had a rich husband, lived in a wonderful apartment in Paris, and she went with this 10-year younger guy in basically a shack to Spain, just because she saw his talent. And I think that's quite remarkable and unusual.
How much fun did you have getting into character? The wigs, the outfits, because she looked so well put together in the film.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, her outfits, we had a costume designer, and what she found was incredible. It was really couture, which Gala was wearing, and it really helped me with a character. For me personally, they were not really comfortable, because they were these kind of things. The fabrics, they're a little bit restrictive. It's very tailored. It's very, the tight skirts, the figure hugging jackets. I personally would not wear things like that. I mean, I try to be more comfortable and more loose, but so she liked that. I think that was just went along right with her character. And I mean, that wig is awful. And I wonder that she would wear. I was always surprised that doesn't she see that this wig is awful? But that it was like a piece of art, it was like a statement, that wig. This was not, oh, I'm making something which flatters me a little bit here and there. This was a statement. I go like this and like this, and that's her. I think she was, in a way, Dali wrote in his autobiography, he described the piece of art that Dali had made, and I actually thought it was quite good what he described.
Oh.
But she knew she was not as a genius as he was.
And there is a scene, I think that, yes, you're right. When it comes to the wig, the scene where she's sitting in front of the dresser, and then she's kind of like admiring the wig.
I don't know whether she's admiring her. I think she says to her hello or something. It's like she puts that on, and then she becomes Gala. Before she goes out into the party, in this there was a party over the opening. They go to the opening, and they come sort of as the king and the queen. And when she puts on this wig, she becomes Gala.
to play her part in
Yes.
Dali World and Dalíland.
Yeah.
So what was one of the scenes that you enjoyed shooting because you and Ben had awesome chemistry? Some of those scenes with you two together, him as Salvador, were quite amusing and very
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, I really love playing with him. I mean, we had a good vibe with each other. It was I like those scenes also, when he's almost like an infant on the floor, and I have to, I have to console him, and there was a little bit of improvisation, and yeah, I think we got the characters kind of, because we are older people both. We have had a life, we have had relationships, we kind of know something about that also, even if this relationship is probably very different than what we had in our lives, but still there are elements that you just know at a certain age.
Mm-hmm. I spoke to Mary earlier, and she was telling me about the scene that Ben improvised when he was playing with the boiled eggs.
Yes.
And then Gala just comes and kind of like ruins that moment. Like, no, gotta be adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a lot of that.
Yeah, I think there was, yeah, it's a bit of a, it's almost, it has comedic elements, the film, definitely.
What are you taking away from playing this film? Like we said, you've played other historical characters, but this one, I feel like a lot of times as artists, you kind of take something with you as the remembrance.
You know, I never can say that. I think these things run on a level that is not so conscious. Of course, I know something about them now, and I will see when I see a Dali in a museum, I will see it differently, of course, because I know, what had happened. I will see, because Gala was in a lot of his paintings. I will see that very differently now. But yeah, it was the interesting thing was that these are two old people who kind of try to hold on to their youth, and I feel how hopeless that is in a way.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't. You have to accept.
Now, how much did you know about Salvador Dalí before this film?
Well, I knew his paintings, and I knew, like most people, I knew, the watches. I knew his paintings. That was it, and that he was Spanish, and that he has become this iconic character with a mustache. That he was more than just a painter. He was very much in the like a star. That's what I knew. But I didn't know really anything about his. I knew that Gala was his muse. I knew that, but I didn't know any details about her, and I didn't know what kind of an extreme eccentric marriage they had. That certainly I didn't know.
He came to my attention years ago with Money Heist because they used the mask of his face and then that flamboyant mustache.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's how it could be. Because I remember that was like, why are they using that? And I remember looking it up, and I was like, oh. So when I got the pitch for this, and I was like, I want to learn more.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting story. Those two, definitely. It's a passionate and an asexual marriage. I mean, they had passion for each other without having sex. So it's a and she looked for that somewhere else, and he observed it. It was very different, but he loved her. He completely fell apart when she died. I mean, he just didn't eat anymore, didn't drink anymore. It was like he ended.
Yeah, very sad.
Such an important part of his life.
Dala was Dolly's oxygen.
Yeah, she was.
She was. Well, thank you, Barbara, for your time. I really appreciate you speaking to me about Dalíland. I enjoyed it. It was really a fun film, and obviously a little bit to learn about.
Yeah. Okay. Be well. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Thank you.